Okay, I'm just going to start this video off because, time-wise and everything else, and there's quite a bit that I want to touch on, so hopefully I can get it all in on this video. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of the testimony part of leading me into what happened, but I'm just going to kind of run through my life real quick and, basically, starting out as a young boy, living in a house that was kind of in the demonic realm per se. There was a lot of activity of things that happened in this house, and the amazing part of it is speaking of things that I have spoken of to different people, and then have my own sisters come up and testify these very things also without even being asked. So sometimes if you need proof, there's the proof. It's up to us what we believe or don't believe. Do you believe in heaven? Do you believe in hell? Do you believe in neither one of it? But I also ask you this then: is your life upside down? Do you have things in your life that you just can't answer? One of the things that I like to ask people when you're little, do you believe in Santa Claus? Did you believe in the Easter Bunny? Um, it took that faith per se and the trust that if you were in some kind of household that you would wake up on Christmas morning with something under the tree. Some people don't. And then it comes under the part of it going, what if you were good all year round? Because it went under that Santa came to good boys and girls. But what if you were good and you didn't receive anything? It kind of sets up that fake trust, and that's what the devil does. So, being in this house, I was able to see things as a child, and I was able to see the things that what it was before it turned and transformed into something else. So when people see demonic activity, it plays off of, as it follows you, it attaches itself, and it plays off of your hatred and plays off of who and what you're afraid of. So if you're angered and you got a lot of hatred towards someone, this thing can portray and what it wants to. It doesn't necessarily mean it's got to be a person. It could be an animal. It could be an object. It's capable of doing whatever it wants to do. But it feeds off the fear of you. As a child growing up, you see things in reality and you kind of get used to it, if that's the best way to put it. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Um, you don't get so scared anymore of the bump in the night things and the way that things move, or you walk in a room and there's cabinets open or there's chairs moved. Uh, you know, the squeaking of a floor, hearing footsteps walk towards you, and there's no one there. I've been pushed. I've been knocked down. I've been scratched. I've watched stuff fly across the room. I've been hit by stuff. In the house that I mentioned earlier, there in Copley, you go down the basement and there was a wall that a room got covered up, and there was a wall there, and you would see this girl, and it appeared to be friendly at first, and then it just becomes this demonic looking beast looking thing, and you would run as fast as you can. She would literally reach up, like the one time she grabbed a hold of my foot, and I was just so scared. I literally thought this thing was going to pull me down through the steps, and I was able to get loose and took off running up the stairs. I never wanted to go in the basement. The basement still kind of today creeps me out. Going down basements or even in attics because of the very things that would happen. And people, this is this is real. The times in the attic, you'd be upstairs and you'd wake up out of a dead sleep, and see yourself. I mean, I remember laying in my sister's bed and watched myself walk over to the over to the attic steps, and to go down there. It was, I don't know how many steps going down, but it went down to a wooden platform, and there was a wall because there was, the door frame coming in, and you'd look over and then just jump. I remember crying, jumping off this and coming down the steps because you're going to hit, and you're going to get hurt. I remember, my sister's yelling, "Hey, such and such is about to jump," and reality is there was no stopping it. You tried, but there was no stopping it. I'd watch things come out of my closet and turn it into, from one thing into a person, which would go upstairs and sit in the corner by their closet doorway and just sit there and stare at them. What they seen was different than what I seen. So you grow up, and these attachments and these things just continue to haunt you. The crazy part about it is the older I got, it kind of left, per se, I guess, at times. Um, I wasn't very liked. We moved around a lot, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and I always felt like an outcast, and I believe the devil wanted me to be that outcast. They didn't want me to have people in my life, and I was always picked on. I was always heavy. I'm still heavy today, and there was a moment in my life that I never really had anybody ask me, other than trying to get my dad's acceptance in life on something. He was a Golden Gloves boxer, and the only reason why I know this because I stumbled across some of his papers and stuff when he was in the service, and he'd watch boxing on the weekends and stuff, and and the times that I was around him, I spent sixth grade with him. He's by far the one that taught me how to fight, because I was being picked on and bullied, and he finally told me, you come running home one more time without fighting back, you're gonna have to fight me. Well, you think it's a just something to scare you into doing it, but no, no, that first blow you take from your father, and it's not like a discipline, but it's just a haul off hit in the head. And I remember crying, and he said that if you can take my punch, you can take anybody's punch. And whether or not I don't believe he hit me with everything he could possibly hit me with. Probably, I didn't. I'm sure he would have knocked me out. But so you go through this style of things. So I see these magazines, I see all these weightlifters, and I seen it. So I turned to, because I was always known as the fat kid. As a matter of fact, I had someone told me once when I first moved into Kenmore area, I was, if you ever watched original Stephen King's or the other one where the fat kid was in there, they said, yeah, you're the new kid, like on it, you're the fat kid. That's okay, kids are kids, but it is hurtful. And it's just like I started having this anger build up inside me more and more, and the older I got, the more anger I got. The more it was weird, because I had strength. Like it wasn't even possible to have the strength that I had. So I got into training, and I started finding things that I was good at, and it was kind of like before you ever heard of MMA. It was like backyard fighting, and we had this fake belt type thing, and whoever kept winning the fights, when you become the number one contender, then you would fight the other number one contender, and you got to hold the belt, per se, for a bit until someone beat you. Well, you fought, and there was no rules to this fighting. I mean, there was no low blow things and all this like you see in MMA and UFC. You just literally beat the tar out of each other, and whatever happened happened. So you continue on in life, and to fast forward a little bit, I trained real hard and I was in shape, and I always seen myself as fat, and I still do. And I trained even harder, and I devoted my life. I was up every morning at 2 o'clock, and I ran and ran and ran and ran, and I'd ride a bicycle back. I'd go to the gym. I would go to work, get off work, ride my bicycle back, run back, go to the gym some more. Then I'd go to boxing training and fight training and go through all this stuff. And I'd be in bed about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'm right back up at 2 o'clock. I never did need a lot of sleep back then. And I didn't sleep a lot because there was always something around me. And I've been, even at the age of 14 and 15, pulled out of beds and drugged down steps, tossed up against the wall. I remember one night getting out of bed to go to the bathroom, and just literally picked up and just slung across my room. You can believe, you watch scary movies and it scares you to see this Paranormal Activity movies or Blair Witch or something, these Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger's The Dream nightmares and stuff. People, this was no movies. This was real. This stuff took place, and the pain you felt with it was real. When you tap into a demonic realm because you're playing some stupid games, or you're watching witchcraft, or you're seeing movies, or you're doing a seance, or you're playing with the Ouija board, you're opening gateways and portals that you don't even have no clue of what you're doing. Tarot cards, someone reading your future. Nobody can read your future. Nobody knows your dang gone future. So when you're toying into stuff, you're opening avenues and you're opening attachments and things to come to you. So let's push forward a little bit more than that. My sister that was an year older than me, that's no longer here, died of an overdose. She was pregnant at the time, and we were in a place. My mom left us, and at this point, she just had her first daughter, and the place had a room for one person. And being that she just had a child, I said, hey, go ahead and go. And she's like, well, where are you going to go? And I said, don't worry about me. I'll be all right. 15 years old. I was scared, but I didn't want her to worry. And it was hard. It was very hard, not knowing where to go, not knowing what to do. And you end up, down in Kenmore. I ended up under a bridge, and it was terrifying. Some old guy finally took me under his wing per se, and showed me how to. They had a metal barrel thing, and he showed me how to start a fire from scratch, and where to find pieces of pallets and stuff like that, and burn stuff, and I ate out of dumpsters. I remember the first time of walking down the street, and there was it was called Kenmore Coffee Shop. Somebody threw a to-go container out, and they took a couple bites out of the sandwich, whether they might not have liked it or just didn't want it, I don't know. But I remember grabbing it and running, like I was so ashamed. And nothing's more horrible than taking a bite out of something somebody else has already bit out. And all I could do was cry, but I was so hungry. And I knew I could only eat so much of it because I didn't know where I was going to get another meal. But let me tell you, people would throw stuff at you, splash you with water. People were mean to you. And I just started getting more and more hated. Hatred just kept forming and forming and forming. I become more and more evil and mean, and strength. I mean, there was stuff that I was doing. I mean, I could literally pull myself up, and I know what people are gonna say. Well, you were just saying you worked out, you ran, you went to the gyms, you trained. No, people. I never was good at doing pull-ups and that kind of stuff. Never could. My boxing coach and other trainer used to get so mad at me all the time. How in the world can you not pull your own body weight up? I don't know. I couldn't even do it in school. So when you grab a hold of something and you're pulling your dead weight up with one arm, and I mean fists like this, not like a pull-up thing like this, and I just grab it and I would just pull myself up. Come on. I mean, I'm not that strong. I wish. But hold on one second. So make a long story short, I end up getting a job and I end up running into some people that said, "Hey, why don't you come stay with us?" So, in the process, these people, I get in there and I was accepted, and I'm finally accepted by people, but I'm not accepted anywhere else. I tried going to churches, and I had pastors telling me to go get cleaned up. You smell, you can't come in here. Now, this is coming to a church. And I'm thinking, I'm 15 years old, and you're not asking where my parents are or why am I so dirty or anything like that. You're telling me that I need to go get cleaned up before I can come back to this church. Well, thank you, but no thank you. When you hear these things coming from a God that's supposed to love you and a Jesus that went to a cross for you, I don't need that. I get that on the streets. But the house I was in, these people accepted me. Uh, some people call him dad, some people call him sir, some people call him pop, some people call him master. I can go down the list of names that this man had. And there was a lot of activity on certain nights that were going down the basement. When I tell people about animals coming up missing, the sacrifices of animals, the stuff that they were doing in the cemeteries, a lot of people start remembering. Oh my gosh, I remember when they were posting this stuff in the newspapers and on the news and putting flyers and stuff up, missing animals. Well, that's what they were doing. They were sacrificing them. They were drinking the blood. I never took place in that kind of stuff because Sir always told me, no, I can't allow you to do this. I never understood that, but I do believe today it was Jesus that allowed and kept me from entering into a covenant with the devil. Because when you take your own blood and mix it with an animal's blood and you spell out your name, you're surrendering to the devil. It may be for power, it may be for riches, it may be for fame, fortune, but it's only temporary, people. He only gives temporary. So, there's a lot of things that happened in that house. I've seen a lot of activity. I've seen things transform. I mean, I would literally walk up to candles and put my hand right on top of it and just raise flames and stuff off the candles. Things start to change in you. You start to go into realms that it just isn't possible. I mean, if you ever look at the Matrix, how that stuff breaks down and how things slow down in motion and stuff, it was kind of like that, But, you fall into drugs to try to ease the pain, per se. But there was a lot of hatred even in that house. I had a lot of hatred. I grew more and more stronger, and I grew more and more hatred. And they started ending me in fights. Well, then they started telling me how the fights were going to go and what I had to do. And I ended up with my nose being broken over and over and over. Black eyes to the point where my eyes would swell so bad. And they just kept lancing them and opening them up. And I'm thinking, man, I'm going to lose my eyesight. It was just horrible. But why I'm telling you this, because it leads up to where I get to the point of the no return, as I called it. So I'm at another one of my family members' house, and it was New Year's Eve. And we were all drinking, and me and my family member gets into this big argument, And I just had enough. I just fed up, had enough, left. And I remember telling this person, I'm done with life. I'm going to take my life tonight. And they laughed. I wasn't kidding. And I went down to the basement where of my sister's house, and I grabbed out of my car a tree rope, big thick rope. I mean thick, and I wrapped it around this beam in the basement. I pulled on it. I hung on it. I even swung from this thing, so it's holding my weight. I know dang well it's not going to break. So I wrapped this thing around my neck, and I'm thinking, it's stupid stuff sometimes go through your head, and I'm like, huh. It's like, so you're like feeling your neck, going, what's the best way to do it? You're holding your neck certain ways. So you tie this thing, and I tied it real tight, and I had this, not so much a noose, but just enough to get it around my neck and tight. And I remember grabbing a hold of it, and I'm swinging from this knot per se, because I wanted to make sure that this thing wasn't going to unravel or something, or come loose in the process. So I wrap it around my neck, and I stand up on this chair, and I said, God, if you're real, show me. Because if not, it doesn't matter what I do from this point. If I fall off this chair, if there's no heaven and there's no hell, then I go nowhere. But prove to me you're real. I stepped off the chair. Now what happens next is the part that you're either going to believe, or you're going to shut this video off. Whoever stumbles across this. I'm laying on the ground. I got the rope. It's broke. It's around my neck. And I remember laying there going like this, and my throat was hurting, and I was choking and spitting. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I can't even do this right. I opened my eyes, and I seen my body. My neck was turned. My face was blue. It was white around through here. My eyes and stuff was white and red. My eyes were swelling. I had urine running down my legs, and I pretty much released every kind of body fluid you can think of. I'm just going to go there. And I remember going, how is this possible? Now remember, seeing things out of body experiences and stuff for me when I was growing up was not abnormal. It was normal to me. So this didn't even faze me. I heard this awfulest sound, and sounds in the echo part where this thing was coming from. And I seen this demon, per se, burnt figure object walk towards me. And as we're walking, I hear another voice on the right side of me. And she's just talking away, saying, it never had to be like this. And I remember walking, and I get to this area where there's iron gates that look like almost like an old cemetery, an old scary movie per se, but the gates were closed. And I said, well, how do you get in this place? And you're looking at it, and I look up, and there's two demons on both sides of these like big giant pillars where these gates are there, and there's a rusty looking lock on there. And instantly the gate opened. So as we're walking through, they're watching me. And I'm looking around, and I'm looking back and forth, and I couldn't see now the person on my right, but I could see everything else that was going on. So when I walked through and the gate shut, I said, why are we being locked in here? And the demon just spoke to me and says, you can't leave. You never can leave. This is permanent. Well, I remember looking at the back of the bricks that were all like charred from smoke, like it would have been in the fire and stuff. And I believe that's why the iron bars were the way they are, because of the heat Now you're starting to feel this extensive heat. And the only way that I can describe it, if you ever been to a bonfire and you got too close to the bonfire, that heat that comes off there, or you start a fire or something, and that heat is overwhelming. This doesn't even relate to it. I'm telling you, it was so freaking hot. I literally seen my blood boiling in my veins. So hot. I touched the bar and it was so hot my fingertips were blistering. But instantly they would go back to normal. But I still felt the pain. And I touched and I go to put my hand up there again and I'm watching my fingers blister again. You're pushing on the blisters and stuff's popping. And you're really starting to peel your own skin and it hurts so bad. Like everything's intensified so bad in this place. And there's no stopping the pain. There's no stopping the suffering. The screaming. I still wake up hearing the screaming and the crying out. But the crazy thing is the crosses. The twisting of the crosses. And the mocking of what you see today is a mockery of the crucifixion. The weird thing is that the Bible states that Peter got crucified upside down because he didn't want to be crucified the same way as Jesus because he didn't feel he was worthy. But hell has no discrimination. Hell takes everybody and anybody. And as quick as you can get there, the happier is that he is. Because he's after a body count. He's not after nothing else but a body count. And so as I proceed to walk further into this, I'm seeing like different areas. But I've seen holes with names plates per se. And you would fall into this and it was like this lava like stuff and it would come so far up your leg so I could see like from your kneecap and half of your leg, the rest of it was under in this hole, but it was in like another, like if you were tearing up your floor and you put your feet down in the floor and your feet were in the basement, they were poking, these demons would poke your feet and rip your feet and break your toes and split them apart. And it would constantly just be reformed. And I know this stuff is hard to hear, but this is just a smidgen of what truly goes on. And as your body temperature is rising so much, your blood is boiling up and through your veins, and your veins are swelling. And it's almost like you just want to reach in there and just rip your own veins out. Your tears, your sweat is burning you. It's just intense, the stuff that's going on all around you. I've seen people that lied and committed things. Each sin that they committed, they had to go face this torture chamber per se. Like if you lied a lot, they would grab your tongue and rip your tongue completely out of your body and rip your lips and cut your lips, but it would be instantly restored. You're still living the pain, and it's being restored, and they're doing it again. And you're still reliving the pain from the first time, then the second time. The pain just keeps increasing because they just won't stop. And there's no sleeping. There's no clocks, people. There's no time in hell. There's no time in heaven. Time doesn't exist. This is your damnation for eternity. Everything you did in life, you're going to replay it. Every person that you crucified and you came against, you're going to be judged accordingly in hell, and you're going to be punished for it. Everything you did wrong to someone without asking for forgiveness, you're going to live that life. You're going to live what you did, and you're going to continue to see it. Now, as I'm standing there, I remember looking upwards, and I seen this light. Now, granted, I'm not even that far into hell yet, and this is already the stuff that's going on. But I did go back another time, and then I went back a time walking with the Lord Jesus Christ. And I begged him not to take me in there, but he said he had to take me back in there to show me things. But as I seen this light, the angel on the right of me said, if you go and look at that light, I said, I just want to see what's there. And as I'm walking, she said, stop. Look to your left first. Because if you look at that light, to the left is what's coming. I looked down and I seen my name. Why I speak of and I say, be careful when you say your family members in heaven. Be careful because you did good deeds. Heck, I did good deeds. I helped people. I changed people's tires. I'd stop and help them fix their cars. Go get gasoline and dump gasoline because they ran out of gas. I tell them, I'm going to help you, but I don't want to thank you. Don't talk to me. Let me do what I got to do and let me go on my way. I wouldn't have made it to heaven, people. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that all the good deeds in the world isn't going to get me there. If I blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, which is of God and Jesus, and living a sinful life is very much doing that because I'm denying Him. I'm denying Christ. So, is why I tell people I think I got every right to speak what I speak. Whether you believe me or not, I don't really care. Who's to say I'm right? Who's to say I'm wrong? So through all this, you have to understand something here. If I'm wrong, then you explain to me the things that I've seen and the places I've been. But if I'm right, and you're living a lifestyle of this gossip, talking about people, and living a sinful life, running in and out, jumping in and out of bed with multi-different people, gambling problem, drugs problems, whatever it may be. Like I said, hell don't discriminate. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. I'm in a truck stop and my trailer started rocking. I don't know if it was the rain, the wind, or if somebody backed into me. It happens all the time. It doesn't surprise me one bit. But anyways, so if I'm wrong, so I'm wrong. We go nowhere. But if I'm right, which I know I am, because let me tell you something, and I know certain people don't like me to say this, but at one particular point in my life, I hated God. I was so mad and so angered at Him, I ripped Him from every angle of the world, and anything I could possibly do to hurt Him, because I felt that His kindness was not so much what people said. I didn't feel no love from no God. But I remember one time the Lord spoke to me and said, listen, the Father didn't care that you were that upset with Him. He'd rather you be upset and yell and scream at Him than not talk to Him at all. You know, when you think about things in life and you go, I wasn't such a good person. But let's just say I'm right. Are you ready to face hell? If you can't even get through life being scared of a movie or what's outside at nighttime, you're not going to like hell, because you're going to see the exact same thing. You know, these movies of The Walking Dead and the whatever else movies that they have, that's a drop in the bucket, people. If you're terrified of that nonsense, but in reality, that stuff does exist. There is things will eat your flesh. In the end times, when God sends His Son back to rapture the people, the faithful ones, you're going to see in the end times, you're going to be walking down alleyways trying to get away from the demonic ruler, the Antichrist, And you're going to see people eating flesh of their own children, their own family. There are people eating people alive. So that Walking Dead isn't going to be so far fetched. But you're going to hear alien abductions. You're going to hear that we were abducted. No, we weren't abducted. We just went home, where we came from, where you came from. You came from heaven. You were brought here, born the same as Christ was. He came through a Virgin Mary, and Mary birthed him. We were birthed here on earth. So let me tell you something. When you are birthed, God sends an angel to walk with you. But when you reject it, or if you have an abortion, the angel takes your aborted baby back to heaven. You're ruining God's plan. God has a plan for you. God has a bigger plan for you. You know, God, it's nothing wrong with having money. God gives money to plenty of people. Some people are very wealthy. Some people are not. But what's wealthy? I have a car. In fact, we got 2 cars at home. We have a home. We got a roof over our head. We got food on our table. Our utilities are paid. We got some money in the bank. We can go to dinner when we want. We live freely. I think I'm pretty rich. I know people that don't have cars. I know people that don't have food on their table. Heck, I grew up without food on the table. I grew up not knowing when the next day I was going to eat. I don't take food for granted. I hate to see people waste food. There's a lot of things that it really gets under my skin in life that I don't know. Maybe that's why I eat and eat stuff, because I don't like to throw stuff away. Or maybe the fact that all that training and all the stuff that I did turned me into the opposite direction again. Because I sacrificed so many years of not eating stuff that I wanted, and I don't know. I don't know why you do what you do in life, to be honest. I don't make excuses, never have, never will. The craziest thing about it is what is happening to you and around you. Are you a parent? What are your children doing? Do you go to church? Do you send your kids to public schools? Are you allowing this transgender stuff to take place? Are you allowing someone that claims to be a guy now that is claiming to be a woman that's going into the bathroom where your daughters go into? Are we allowing them to go into sports and dominate over top of sports? Why? Because you're a man and you can't win in playing against another man? It's a sick world. We're mocking God. We're coming against God. We're telling God now He's not even capable of getting that right. Or how many times have you told your child, "Why, I knew you were going to be gay when you grow up"? You put the words into your mind, you're programming them in there. And that's what the devil wants. The devil wants us to program. The devil don't want us to pay attention to what our children are doing, what they're watching. It's pretty sad when we got to start putting parental control on TVs and locking stuff out. Never had to do that when we were little. Times have changed. The devil changes quickly because he makes this technology. But God said, "I shall get glory through all things," even if the devil does do it. There's a part in Job when God comes and the devil finally shows up and he says, "Where have you been?" He says, "I've been going to and fro, up and down through heaven, back and forth." The devil's all around. He's gaining grounds. He's getting ready to send the Antichrist to take power. But he must build up things, rumors of wars, the attacking of things, the destruction, the tear down of food, the control, the COVIDs, per se. You know how we went through this whole COVID thing and they shut down stores again. All they're doing is testing us and testing us and testing. You can believe it or not. It doesn't matter what you believe. It's what you see. The more you start to see it. But the more you start to see it, the more you start not believing it. It becomes an everyday thing because you see it in TV shows, you see it in movies. It's okay to be 1,000 pounds and have a TV show, or a teenage pregnancy shows. It's okay to go out and get pregnant. It's okay to let someone else raise your child. It's okay for you to go and do all these things because the world says it's okay. It's okay to go and jump in a bed with someone else and then go have an abortion because it's okay, because the world says it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay to be raped. I'm not saying it's okay for all these things to happen. But God will get glory and God will punish. That child did not ask for this to happen. You didn't ask for it to happen. And this should never happen. But that child don't deserve to die. Listen. I know there's cases where where a mother's life might be in danger. And I'm not saying right or wrong with any of it. But I know prayer works. And I know God has a plan. And no matter what I do, excuse me, no matter what I do, I believe my time, when it's my time and my purpose here is done, no matter what I'm doing or not doing, isn't going to stop it from happening. No, I'm not saying go out and kill yourself. I'm not saying go out and do all these things or test the situations, because you might not be able to handle what you see. You know, they made that movie, The Hollow Man. They made a couple other movies where they would put themselves to sleep. Flatliners, I think it was called, and they come back. Look how whacked the more whack they got, the more they did it. Don't play around with the devil, because eventually you might lose. If you play with him long enough, guarantee it, he's going to offer you what you want. I tell everybody, are you for sale? How much? Because the devil always has the price to pay for it. The same as Jesus paid the price on the cross. Well, let me tell you, I could go into so many more details about hell. If you don't like being burnt, if you don't like being cut, if you don't like being stabbed, if you don't like being clawed, if you don't like having your skin ripped off of you, peeled off of you, your veins ripped out of you, if you don't like just what I'm mentioning right now, you're not going to like hell. I don't need to put a fear in you. I can tell you one thing. I have died. I have tried taking my life. I survived by the grace of God. Four suicide attempts. Only 3 of them I speak of. The 4th one, I have no desire to even talk about it. It's horrifying. It brings back too many bad areas in my life, and I don't want to go down that pathway. I don't think I have the strength really to go through it. What happened that night, and what I went through. I've wrecked cars. I've ended up coming out of the trunk of cars. I don't even have the words why I'm still here. I shouldn't be here. When you stand and look at the devil, Lucifer himself, face to face, and I know this is hard for people to hear, but I did. And I'm standing there looking him face to face, and he offers me whatever I want. Whatever I want. No time limit. Even no time limit on it. He said I can, there is a time limit, but not like he does with everything else. This time limit was only until the end of time. When the new kingdom was being lowered down. So basically, even through the rapture, I still would have whatever we bargained. All I had to do is cut myself, sign my name in blood. The very things that he's tried to get me to do many times. All the power, all the control, and all I had to do is lead people in. That's all I had to do. It's not so hard of a task, people. You may say, oh yeah, I'm not going to fall for that. Really? You ever been pure pressured into something? You ever tell someone no, but they convince you to go ahead and go do it? You ever leave your house to do something that you didn't want to do? You ever stay out all hours of the night? You end up doing drugs. You end up doing alcohol. You end up in bed with someone else because one thing led to the next, to the next, to the next. How many people have you crawled in bed with? How much drugs did you do? How many times did you lie about stuff when someone else was waiting in the background? See, I didn't do none of that. I didn't have people waiting in the background because I didn't allow women to come into my life. I was called gay. I was called all kinds of nasty stuff, and a lot of it by my own family. How come you don't have a girlfriend? I don't know. I guess I'm not that attractive. I guess I'm not what women want, I guess. I have no idea. At the time, it's probably best. But I wasn't gay, by far. Is it offensive? Why is it that you could be offended, but I can't be offended? When I really do believe, I have every right to say what I say, because I've been there. I've walked through it. If you could be offended by a cross, or you could be offended by when I say Jesus Christ or God bless you, you don't like it. Tough. I will not deny speaking of my Savior. I will not deny speaking out loud of who God is in my life and what I've been through. Because you have never walked where I've walked. You know, you hear these near-death experiences and people make fun of it. Some of them I do listen to. I listen to them because I want to hear what they say about hell. Because there is different rooms in hell. There's different rooms that I have not yet heard anybody talk about. There's different things that happen in hell that I've yet not heard anybody talk about. And I know dang well, if you truly went into the pits of hell, then you've seen the very things. You had to see it. The same like when I go to heaven. I've been in rooms in heaven where there's a long table. I call it the conference room, the meeting room per se. And they're discussing things in there. I've been in rooms in heaven where the angels sit and all these packages. I went in the room where had for me, the gifts that God had for me to pour out, but I never asked, and I was bad, and you don't receive it. There's consequences for everything we do. So, the events that are taking place right now is bringing Christ. And through these things, we're watching these elections, we're watching things be fixed, we're watching the rallies of things, we're watching organizations stepping up. But God said He's going to stop all of these things. Black Lives Matter, the whatever all that other stuff is, and these abortions. All the stuff is coming to an end. Judgment God is going to put, because God's on the earth right now. People, start looking at your lives. Start praying. Pray harder than you have ever prayed. If you don't know Jesus Christ, then you need to get to know Him. But you also need to ask Jesus to put a mentor in your life. Someone that's willing to walk with you through that journey. The same as Jesus walked into the wilderness by himself, but he had the Spirit of God poured into him. You don't get that right off the bat, because the devil's going to come and tempt you. The devil's going to try to drag you back. And trust me, you ever hear that phrase, being dragged to hell? That's exactly what it feels like. You will try to claw your way out of hell. Your fingernails will break off. Your fingers will blister. You're going to bleed and bleed and bleed, tortured over and over. Try staying awake for 24 hours and just keep smacking yourself and smacking yourself. You don't go numb in hell. Your feelings are intense 10 times over what you would normally feel here. But that's just the beginning of hell. There's different stages of hell. Trust me on this. People. Daily I pray God to remove people out of my life. Property. Any kind of idolized things in my life. I actually takes it out of there. I used to love working on cars and building hot rods and motorcycles. There's days that I miss it. There's days that I could barely even walk. But I thank God that I'm still able to walk. I thank God that I'm still able to move. I thank God for the very things that I have in my life. I thank God that I still have life. I don't fear death because I've been dead. The world cannot do nothing to me. The only thing they can do, if someone kills me today, sends me to heaven. And that's what I live for. Nothing else. Do I love my wife? Yes. Has people come against us? Yes. Has people come against me, per se, and said bad things? Yes. If my wife believed it, which she had the rights to leave, yes, the Bible says so. She can forgive me, but yet still leave. I flat out told her, you're going to believe what you're going to believe. You got to do what you got to do. But I am not guilty. I don't care what people say. I don't care if I have no one else left in my life. Jesus is enough. Because what I survived through, what I've seen. You've never been in a house where you walk in a basement and you're picked up and tossed across the room. You've never been in a house where stuff would grab you by the throat and leave prints under your chin and hold you down on a bed. You've never seen demons walk out. You've never ever walked into cemeteries and see the things that I have seen. Imagination? I wish. Then tell me, why does it haunt me? Do I fear it? The only thing I fear is allowing anger to come in my life and allow me to slip back in there. And that's what the devil just tried to do the last 2 years, and he used kids to do it. Well, like I said, I don't know them. They're not my children. Because my children would have known better. I don't know these people. Don't care. Right or wrong, judge me. But be careful how you judge me, because you will be judged the same way. I spoke a while back about food shortages. What they're trying to do, they're trying to shut down the diesel. They're trying to shut down the trucking industry. They're going to raise prices. They want to do everything green. Why do they want to do everything green? Because they want to get away from the fossils. The fossil fuel, the fossil heating. They want to do that so they can shut it down. Solar panels. Why are we having all these solar panel farms? So they can shut down your electricity anytime they want. You think I'm far-fetched on this? That's why they want to put the stuff in your homes, so they can control when they can shut down what they want to shut down. Russia does it all the time. Why would they not be able to shut it down? They did it down in Florida. Unless you opt out of it. Otherwise, they can shut down your power anytime they want because they claim stopping power surges. Why can't they shut your power down? Why can't they shut your water down? Why can't they do whatever they want to do? Because they're the government and they're going to do it because we do nothing about it. We put these people in office and they control the government. They try to control us. They give you a social security number so they can track you everywhere you're going. If you think they're not tracking you and you think that, they're giving you a shot, but yet people are getting sick from these COVID shots and everything else, people, you're sadly mistaken. Are you going out there and wiping down your car handles when the COVID was going on, but yet you're sanitizing the crap out of a shopping cart? No, you did not do it. I've watched people go out and sanitize the crap out of themselves all through stores, walk right out there, grab a hold of their door handle or open their trunk lid. Did you go home and wipe off your doorknobs before you went in? Did you touch the grocery bags without resanitizing? Did you go inside and then resanitize after you touched everything? What about your refrigerator? What about anybody come in? Come on, people. Common cold, common flu went out the window. Now all of a sudden we got the common cold and the common flu back. It's all China. A former president invested into this stuff. If you think it's wrong, you think I'm wrong here, China also injected fleas during World War II and turned them out in the thousands onto people, make them sick and kill them. I've seen visions of animals in cages in China, but over here in the States, because they're buying up properties, they're buying up business over here, and I've seen all these cages and stuff inside with these animals here in the United States that they're testing. We'll see. Start watching these buildings around you get bought up by China. Stop watching all these businesses that are fleeing out of here, but yet people are reopening back up robotic things. You look at, you're going to see children's toys, little toddler looking size robots. You're going to see these things interacting, talking to them. You're going to see them dancing. You're going to see these things moving around, picking up stuff, bringing stuff to people, voice activated through little mics and stuff. And these things are going to be voice activated because they want you to get used to this stuff, because robots are going to take over. The 5Gs on your phones. You know what 5G really is? The communications of devices. Syria, please do this. Syria, put on this. Well, Syria's talking to the other 5G stuff. Whether it's computers in stores, whether it's this, we scan everything. We got these stupid little things on there where we can scan them little square boxes with the little funny looking shaped things in there. People, you're putting yourself into a society that's going to fail. What are you going to do if they shut all the power down? What are you going to do if the banks crash? What are you going to do when the financial crisis comes in? I spoke a few years back about social media falling because the Lord told me it would come to a halt. Facebook, shortly after that, crashed. I said the stock markets will crash. They crashed. Not on my own authority of speaking it, but I spoke what was told to me. We're not done. This is going to increase. The Lord said these things are going to increase. Nothing's going to get easier. But His people shall receive favor. And people are going to start looking, why are they not suffering? Why are we in food shortages, but yet they're eating? Because God's favor over His people. Moses didn't go into the promised land because he was too busy going on behalf of the people that were grumbling and complaining about everything in life. How about you? Are you bitter because you didn't get a promotion that you thought you deserved? Do you deserve it? Maybe it's not your time. Maybe you need a little bit more training. Maybe you think you're ready, but you're not. Maybe once you get into that position, maybe that position isn't really what you need. It's too much for you. Are you one of them people that people try to help you and try to talk to you and you want to come against everything? You're liberal. But yet, when you're around godly people, you talk about godly things. When you're around the world's ways, you're wearing the t-shirt, you're listening to the crap music, the rock music, the hip-hop, this, that, garbage, and everything else that goes along with it. But I said, listen to the words. I'm on the highway to hell. Hotel California, yeah, you can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. Well, that's hell, people. One way, highway to hell, straight into hell, and you mix Hotel California in there. The Mountain Crew shout at the devil. We go in there breaking the law. Oh my gosh, man, I can go down the line of the music. And you think this is okay? In there it says, come now, children of the beast, be strong and shout to the devil. Children of the beast. Are you? You may say, well, I don't listen to that music. Doesn't matter. Do you talk about people? Is your sword sharp? Is it? Your tongue. Is it sharp? Bet you it is. Bet you you're quick to go talk about somebody else. To break them down. You ever feel bad after you do it? Why do you do it? Repentance and forgiveness isn't for the other people, even if they do wrong to you. It's not for them, it's for you. It's for you so you don't have bitterness in life. Doesn't mean you're a coward. Doesn't mean that you are less of a person. But it gives you peace. Well, I'm already in an hour and 2 minutes. So I'm going to shut this off, and I got to get some sleep too because I got to get up early. But I give you my word, I'm going to put part 1 on this. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to ask the Lord real quick what he wants me to call this. Because there's a lot more than I want to get into. And please, people, comment on this. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you want me to go into different areas, what I've already spoke about in more detail, because I have no problems digging into hell even more. I'm just trying to give you enough to get your attention on it, to make you really start looking at your life. Or if you just want prayer, whatever. The comments do help, and I do read what's on there, and I just want to close off with this. Heavenly Father, guard these people, guard the devil from stopping them from seeing this, let alone if they are starting to look at their lives. I ask for protection. I know you can break these chains. I know you can break these spells. I know because you've done it with me. And I know you have led me out of the darkness. I know you brought me from the darkness of all darkness. And I know you entered me into the light, slow but sure. You molded and sculpted me. You pruned me. You changed me daily. But I accept you daily. I accept you into my life. I give you my free will. I surrender my life, my spirit, my bones, my flesh. I give you my free will. I give you my hair on my head. Use it accordingly to your plans and purpose. I ask that everybody that sees this video, that they come with a receiving heart. They come to truly receive you. I ask for a godly mentor. I ask for a godly spouse. I ask for godly influences in their lives. And I ask for these chains to be broken, whatever's binding them, whatever's holding them. There isn't a prison that you cannot overcome. There isn't a cell that you can't overcome. There isn't a place on this earth that you can't overcome, because you are the mighty Jesus Christ. Your blood, you took the massive things with you to the cross and the massive things into the grave, and out of the grave you arose. You went to hell, you defeated it, and in 3 days you're in there. There's a powerful thing that happened when you were in that grave for 3 days, when you arose up. Before you visually showed yourself out of that grave, there was a lot of powerful things that happened in them 3 days, and I'm going to touch on that also. So please people, continue to come back, because there's a lot of things. Don't let the devil stop you. Don't let the devil distract you from coming back to hearing this, because I got a feeling I'm about to open some eyes here, not by what I say, but what the Lord has given me, and what the Lord has allowed me to live through, and what the Lord has allowed me to testify. Because every word, Lord, I say, let it be truthful from you, or let me speak not a word. Let me continue to do and say with what you have given me to say, or let me speak not a word and deceive anybody. Because I'm not here to trying to deceive people to follow you. I want people to be saved. I want people to know the truth. I want them to know exactly who the Antichrist is, what he's capable of doing, what the devil's going to do in the process of coming. I pray this in your name, Lord. I love you and I praise your holy name. God bless you all. May God keep peace over you and love and joy. Until the next one.